So another one of considerations when it comes to our risk management strategy is having the proper insurance protection. Now, for many of you who work for employers, they likely offer you medical coverage and life insurance and disability insurance and so on. For those that don't work for an employer that does or doesn't have an employer at all, you're self-employed, you may not have these things. However, there is a benefit. So let's chat a little bit about it. I think for the most part, people understand health insurance, and there's this, big debate as to whether it's worth it. But the reality is, you go in the hospital once and you get a $20, $30, $40, $50,000 bill, and you're only responsible for a couple $1,000, and you start to realize how quickly it's worth it. So we'll leave that one alone. We'll talk about some of the ones that are maybe a little less popular. And that's the life insurance and the disability insurance, and maybe for some older individuals, the long-term care insurance. When it comes to life insurance, if your company offers you some and it costs pennies, $1, $2, $3 a month, whatever, get it. Take advantage of it. However, don't stop here. The reason being is if you ever leave that company, oftentimes you can't take that policy with you. So you might be tying yourself to the company because you're relying on the company to provide you this coverage. Now let's talk a little bit about the importance of life insurance in general. I would imagine if every single person in the world had at least $250,000 worth of life insurance, I promise you our world would look a lot different. How many stories have we heard of the mother or father passing prematurely and leaving kids and spouse behind? How many times have we heard the story of some 18-year-old that died prematurely or something, right? And these are the dramatic outlier scenarios, but some are even expected. And the reality is, if you imagine what $250,000 could do for your family, maybe someone starts a business that they've always been thinking about. Maybe you send a niece or nephew or, again, a child or someone to college that maybe otherwise wouldn't be able to afford college or would have to take out debt loans. Or maybe it's just simply leaving money behind to your family to make sure that the income that you are earning is replaced. The reality is, I would encourage that everyone have at least $250,000. Now, there are different types of life insurance, and that's not really for this video. We can go into that another time. But it's a very important part of your plan, so don't just rely on the company. Another type of coverage is the disability coverage. Now, this one is a little bit different. This is purely about income replacement. Now, income replacement is not just relevant if you have a physical job. You might be sitting at a desk, and if the unfortunate sequence of things occurred, you might not be able to sit at a desk. Maybe you have pain in your back or whatever, I don't know. The point is, though, is that if you don't have enough money saved, if no one else is responsible for your bills, it might be valuable to ensure that you have some kind of coverage in place so that no matter how healthy or not healthy you are, you always have your income. The final piece that I talked about is long-term care insurance. Now, this one is a little bit more specific. Again, it's usually associated with individuals over 50. However, nothing's off limits. The idea behind this coverage is to cover the cost of any major medical expenses or additional care that you might need. This is where you think about the nursing homes and the assisted living and the home health care. This is where if you have the cancer or the ALS or the something come up, you're basically purchasing a bucket of money that upon that event, you can have a certain portion of dollars paid out to you each month. There are many different types of policies. They have different time periods. The point is, though, is that particularly if you have parents who are over 50 or you yourself is over 50, this might be a type of insurance that you'll want to have a conversation with them about. Now, I understand that insurance can be boring. I understand that insurance can maybe not feel so good to talk about. But the reality is, if for a couple $100 a month, or maybe even less than that, you were to cover the risk of anything that could go wrong in life, it might be worth you having.